Hey there everybody, it's Mark Curley. I'm back with another video, not a how to draw video this time, but actually just a video that's going to be teaching you about doing page layouts for comic books. I'm going to use, to begin with, an example from Brody's Ghost, my series for Dark Horse. And many of you have seen this before, but there's a big double-page spread in the middle of the story that shows the hyper-detailed urban environment that our characters are in. And so I'm going to use this as an example of showing you how you tend to go from a wide establishing shot into a close-up, little by little. So we got this scene. This is establishing our location, kind of futuristic, decaying, urban location. And these word balloons here, I don't know if you can see, they are pointing towards these tiny little dots, which are our main characters. Now you turn the page, and we have moved in a little closer. We see the two characters, and somewhat unusually, I have a second shot in which they are still basically the same size, but from a different point of view. But what I really want you to get an idea for is how we move toward a closer view as they continue talking to each other. We move in a tiny bit closer on her, and then finally go to a real close-up right here. So what I want to do is show you how it is that this process works when you're laying out a page. And so what I've done is come up with a piece of dialogue here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and show you what it says. Okay, so I just sort of tossed this together for this video. This is not brilliant dialogue or anything, but this gives you an idea of my process. And I begin with this sentence here: establishing shot, in the mountains, snowstorm. And that's just a little note to myself, basically, as to what I'm going to be drawing later on. And I've used A and B to symbolize character names. You could plug in your own names here. So character A, we've got to get there by nightfall. Character B, okay, but what if we don't? Character A, simple. If we don't make it, we die. Character B, reaction. And later on I'll show you how he doesn't say anything, but it's important to me that we see his reaction to what this guy says. So that's pretty basic and probably kind of cliche, but it gives us something to work with as we lay out this page. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so to begin with, I'm just going to quickly draw the shape of the page and maybe the shape of the first panel so that we can get started on that. I'll do this in time-lapse, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got a basic page layout in place here, and I want to stress that this is not the final art. This is just kind of a rough thumbnail kind of a layout to help myself get a sense of where the different panels are going to be, what size they're going to be, where the word balloons are going to be, because I feel pretty strongly that the word balloon planning has to come in at the very earliest stages. So anyway, I told you at the beginning the basic idea is to start with a wide shot, an establishing shot, and I think a lot of this stuff comes from movies, that when you watch a movie, they're using very much the same kind of language. You want to give the viewer, or the reader in the case of comics, some sense of where we are as we tell this story. So I'm going to start with a very large panel that is establishing the location. All right, and then I'm going to get to the other panels later on. So just I wanted to begin by giving you a sense of where this panel was on the page, but of course to get a little more detail, I think we should zoom right in on this first establishing shot. Okay, so as you'll recall, our basic idea was to give a mountain setting, and my idea is that these characters are hiking through the mountains, trying to get to some sort of a destination. And what I want to do is give you some pointers on how to lay out a first panel like this. The whole idea of the establishing shot is to give the location, so you want to make the location kind of the star of the show at this point. So I'm indicating here, some spectacular, hopefully, mountains in the background. And this will give us, the viewer, a nice sort of beauty shot, I suppose it would be, of how high we are up in the mountains. In fact, I think maybe just to keep this video moving, I should do quite a lot of this in time-lapse. Again, this is rough, okay, so I don't have to do my most beautiful work. But my sense is letting the mountains be the star. As far as my characters kind of trudging through the mountains, I'm going to put them somewhere around here. Moving, and there's going to be a foreground character and a character that's a little bit behind him as they make their way through. So bear with me. I'm going to take a second to sort of tighten this up in time-lapse, and then I'll come back and explain a few things. Nothing really beautiful in terms of the drawing here, but this gives you a sense of how you want to begin with something rough, something that you don't need to commit too much to. You're working out the problems at this stage and figuring out how you want everything to go. And because it's not beautiful artwork, you don't have to worry about erasing things and starting all over again. So anyway, we got the two main characters here. And my feeling is that sometimes even in the establishing shot, you can begin with a little bit of dialogue. So this guy, character A, I am going to make a rough indication of where his word balloon would go. And of course, his first line of dialogue is, we've got to get there by nightfall. Okay, so even in your rough, you want to kind of get a sense of where these word balloons are going to go so that they read easily. But this is where he's going to be saying, we got to get there by nightfall. And you don't have to necessarily write it all out at this point. Later on, you can, when you get to the final art, you can actually write the words out. And a lot of times the word balloons are going to be done in some kind of a computer program. But anyway, for the layout purposes, you basically get things in place like this. Now I'm going to pull back and show you how I plan out the other two panels that are going to finish off this page. All right, so we've pulled back now to see the whole page, and you can see how this huge shot is going to give us plenty of space for later on putting in details that would help familiarize the reader with the location. The second one is sort of helping us move toward a close-up. Now, as you saw in my example from Brody's Ghost, I don't tend to jump immediately to a really tight shot of someone's face. I feel like I want a sort of a zooming in quality, just like you'd have in a movie, say. And so at this point, I can move just a little tighter in, still seeing maybe their entire bodies. And again, just to save time, I'm going to do this in time-lapse, but I can come back and give you some explanations about the choices I made. Okay, so you can see that we've moved in considerably closer on these characters without going absolutely into super tight close-ups. And you can also see that I gave this guy a beard so that he can be the rugged, tough man of the mountains, stoic, unflappable. And then, of course, this is your cliche young guy. Well, golly, Captain. Anyway, so what I wanted to pause and tell you about was the location of the word balloons here. As you recall from my brilliant dialogue for this scene, I had decided that they were going to have the second character say, yeah, but okay, but what if we don't? And the final line from the sort of leader type guy is simple. If we don't make it, we die. So here's what I want to tell you about. This guy is going to speak first, right? And his line is, okay, but what if we don't? And that means, if you remember from the first line, what if we don't get there by nightfall? I'm putting this guy's word balloon up here, and then this guy is speaking after him, and I'm putting this little, I don't know what you call these things, sort of word balloon attribution device, these little spokes that come off of the word balloon to tell you who's talking. I'm putting this down here. Now, the reason that I'm laying it out in this way is I think that there is a kind of unwritten rule in comics that we read the higher panel first and the lower panel second. And so there will be no confusion. No reader is going to accidentally read this one first. And so we're going to read this guy's dialogue. Okay, but what if we don't? And here's some kind of little trick that I like to do. The guy's going to say, simple. ... And then we will have him finish his line of dialogue in the next final panel on this page. And, of course, as you recall, his his second part of that line is simple. If we don't make it, we die. Now, what I think might be even more effective, and this shows you how you sort of change your plan as you go along, if we make this a little larger, he can say most of the sentence all at once, right? Simple. If we don't make it, and there goes your ... And in a way, I'm kind of glad that I forgot my own plan there and was able to show you how changes need to be made on the fly sometimes. I mean, this is the whole thing about doing these rough layouts as you're working it out. So I figured, let's make it even more dramatic. Simple, if we don't make it, ... And then finally, in here, we're going to get that really, powerful moment. I don't know, it is cliche, but the powerful line is, we die. And so we save that for when we cut to the close-up. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time in time-lapse. But this will help us get this page finally and completely laid out. All right, so that kind of brings us to the end of this page and hopefully creates that little dramatic moment that we want here. Where the guy says, okay, but what if we don't? Simple, if we don't make it, we die. Now, I like doing this kind of thing where there is a break in the dialogue that helps indicate, that is such a useful word, I should say that more often, that helps indicate a pause in the speech, and I'm really kind of obsessively big into dialogue and getting the pauses in there. You could kind of call me a pause geek when it comes to dialogue. I really love to get the rhythm of speech and how the people are talking. So, but then also to have that kind of split between two panels creates just a little moment of drama. Simple. If we don't make it, we die. There's that little moment of how is this going to end? And then at that very moment, we leap into close-up. And notice again how I've laid out the word balloons. We're going from top or higher word balloon to slightly lower. And then I don't like to make a person's eye jump back up to the top. I'm kind of obsessive that way. Having established this rule of top to bottom, I like to lay it out in such a way that the next word of dialogue, even if it's in a separate word balloon, is not very much higher than the last thing that we read. And I think that just gives someone sort of a psychological rule book. In this comic, don't worry, it's always highest word balloon to lowest word balloon. You never have to guess where is the next thing that you're supposed to read. And then equally important is to have this guy's reaction down here after the word balloon, so that we kind of have a flow here where we go from this, we've read this, we get what he says, and only after that, again, top to bottom, we get the kid's reaction. If we don't make it, we die? Dude! I don't think he would say dude, actually, in this setting. Anyway, let me pull back and show you the entire layout of this incredibly brilliant page that I've come up with, and then I'll sum things up with just a few more words. All right, so there you have it, my little lesson on doing a rough page layout, and that basically gives you two of my principles of page layouts, namely going from the wide shot in toward the close-up. That's not like I invented this. These things have been around forever. But then the other aspect of word balloon layout, the importance of putting them in such a way that people have a natural, instinctive way of reading from one to the other. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. And I think what I'm going to do with this, I haven't done one of these for quite a long time, I think I'm going to do a two-parter. Two-parter, people, on this video. We'll take this whole rough thing, and I will show you how I go from that to turning this into a final page. But I'm going to save that from another video. And I got to tell you, my decisions about these videos are based to some degree on their popularity. So if this video gets lots of views, then of course I'm going to, fly along and do this part 2 pretty quickly. If it doesn't, comparative to my other videos, if it gets a rather meager number of views, I will eventually do the part 2, I promise, but it will probably take a little longer. So just to wind things up, this is Brody's Ghosts, book 1 and 2. combined into a single book. And you can see, if I put them next to each other, that it is actually larger than the original publication. This is the Scholastic edition, which means that it will be available in schools. And so those of you who have book fairs at your schools, please ask, see if they're going to have Brody's Ghost, the Scholastic edition. It is both books in a single volume. It's larger than the original, so you can have a better look at the artwork, and I just think it's a really great way to get hold of the book. People are always asking, you know, where can I get your books? Well, finally, I can tell you, yes, this one, hopefully in your school, you will be able to find this one. I really hope that proves to be the case for those of you in America. Again, I'm sure, you know, the European viewers and the rest of the world, they hate me. They hate me because my books are not available outside of the United States, but hopefully they will be eventually. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wind this one down because I'm sounding like a freak. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back with another one real soon.